Part 177. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1761. Chapter 1761. Zanbo actually touched that Baichi. Just as she was about to leave, she suddenly heard an excited scream. Ah, Zanbo, Zanbo is here. Oh my god, brother Zanbo is so handsome. Zanbo, Zanbo, I love you. I'm going crazy, why is Zanbo so handsome, I can beat him for 100 years with his looks. Xiao Mian heard the commotion and pretended too much. She saw the recently popular Xiaoxian Zanbo walking out of the VIP channel wearing a mask and a black peaked cap. He was dragging a black suitcase, and like Xiao Mian, he had no accompanying persons around him. However, in order to maintain order and the safety of passengers, the airport still arranged for several security guards to follow him out. Fans screamed and wanted to come forward. They all took out their mobile phones and took pictures of Zanbo. Even the few fans who came to pick up Xiao Mian were very excited when they saw Zanbo. They took out their mobile phones and took pictures of Zanbo. Zanbo now is the same as Tu Yuli back then, he is a national idol. Especially some little girls, they are obsessed with him. The people who came to pick me up at the airport today were mostly girls in their teens, and they all looked very young. Xiao Mian stood in the direction of the exit, watching Zanbo slowly walk out, hesitating whether to go up and say hello. Go up and say hello, she's afraid of being criticized by Zanbo's fans. Don't say hello. They are both guests in the same issue, and they will be together for a month. If they meet and don't even say hello, some people may write that she is arrogant because of her background. Category. Xiao Mian knows very well that he is definitely capable of doing such a thing. Even more than she thought. However, Xiao Mian really doesn't want Zanbo's fans to accuse her of being too popular, and she knows very well that for idol stars like Zanbo who adopt a boyfriend persona, female fans are very possessive. I wish my oppa would not have the slightest contact with anyone of the opposite sex. Except for myself, I feel that other women who are close to their oppa are vixens and scheming bitches. Female artists like Xiao Mian, who have been rumored to have affairs with many men, will be regarded as a scourge by her fans. Xiao Mian knew this very well, so she hesitated to say hello to Zanbo. She looked at the crazy looks of those fans, and then looked at Zanbo who was about to walk out. After thinking about it, she decided to leave directly. She would rather be written about by the media as being arrogant. She also doesn't want people to think she is taking advantage of Zanbo's popularity. Just when Xiao Mian turned around and was about to leave directly, Zanbo was about to walk out of the passage. At this time, Zanbo's fans rushed in screaming, and the scene was completely out of control. I don't know who pushed Xiao Mian. Xiao Mian lost her balance and fell to the ground. She was about to fall to the ground. The people beside her wanted to help her. But she saw a pair of white hands reaching out and holding her in time before she fell to the ground. Miss Xiao, are you okay? A clear and pleasant voice sounded above the head. Xiao Mian raised her head and saw Zanbo, who she wanted to avoid, reaching out to support her. When Zanbo saw this scene, the female fans surrounding him all turned their murderous eyes on Xiao Mian, and they all looked like they were gnashing their teeth in hatred towards her. Oh my god, Zanbo actually touched that Baichi. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1762. Chapter 1762. What are you really afraid of? Is this Xiao Mian? This shameless woman has already set up Tu Yuli and Qin Han, and now she wants to set up Zanbo again. She did this on purpose, right? I'm a scheming bitch, what did she want to do? The surrounding fans' eyes turned red with envy and hatred when they saw Zanbo holding Xiao Mian so intimately. Ah, their brother's hand actually touched Xiao Mianmian's green pool. Their brother is still so close to that Baichi. Ah, I'm going crazy. This Baichi fell to the ground sooner rather than later, but happened to fall down when their brother came out. If this was not intentional, they would fry the fish in their hands and eat it. Xiao Mianmian naturally felt the murderous gazes of those fans. She hurriedly reached out and gently pushed Zanbo away, then quickly stepped back several steps until she felt that she had maintained a safe distance. Then she stopped. "Thank you, Mr. Zhan," Xiao Mianmian said in a polite tone, "I'm fine." When he felt that she was avoiding him intentionally, Zanbo was stunned for a moment, with a trace of surprise on his face. Immediately, he nodded politely and a little distantly, "That's good. Mr. Zhan, I will take the first step." Xiao Mianmian looked at Zanbo's terrifying fans. At this moment, she just wanted to leave this place of right and wrong immediately. She was just afraid that people would say that she deliberately took advantage of Zanbo's popularity, so she wanted to leave quickly. Who knows, she still can't avoid this disaster. Xiao Mianmian has already guessed that she will probably be on the hot search again soon. By then, those girlfriend fans of Zanbo will probably be able to spray her into a sieve. But there were some things that she had deliberately avoided, but she still couldn't. No matter what the consequences were, Xiao Mianmian could only accept it. Zanbo nodded towards her. Xiao Mianmian once again met the fans' jealous and sharp eyes. She couldn't help but shuddered and quickly turned around and left. She had just taken a few steps out when she heard another scream behind her. This time, Xiao Mianmian did not look back. She quickly walked out of the airport hall as if running for her life. "There is a bus waiting outside." Xiao Mianmian followed the photographer onto the bus. When she learned from the photographer that she had to wait for several other artists to come out together, she estimated that she might have to wait for an hour, so she took out her mobile phone and started a game. There was nothing to take pictures at the moment, so the photographer put away the machine for the time being. Xiao Mianmian played 2 games and just started the third game when she heard the sound of the car door opening. She raised her head and saw Zanbo, who had just been surrounded by fans, walking up. Xiao Mianmian was the first to get on the bus. She didn't want to make a presence, so she sat in the last row as soon as she got on the bus. Zanbo probably had the same idea as her. After getting in the car, he walked directly to the back seat. When he saw Xiao Mianmian sitting in the corner of the last row, he was stunned for a moment, and then said hello generously, "Miss Xiao." Xiao Mianmian saw that the photographer had turned off the machine, and there were no crazy fans around now, so she raised her head and greeted Zanbo generously, "Hello, Mr. Zhan." Zanbo sat down in front of her. He smiled and said, "I think we should not call Miss Xiao Mr. Zhan. This seems a bit strange. Why don't we just call her by name?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1763. Chapter 1763. Give me another chance. Xiao Mianmian also felt that it was strange to call her like this, so she nodded and said, "Okay." When Zanbo was standing just now, he saw Xiao Mianmian playing a game. He had nothing to do in the car at the moment, so he took out his mobile phone and asked Xiao Mianmian, "Xiao Mianmian, I just saw that you seem to be playing King of Kings. Pesticide." Xiao Mianmian was still waiting for her place. She had just started a game, but no one had been queued yet. As soon as Zanbo heard that she was playing King Pesticide, he immediately became interested. He turned to her with his cell phone and said, "What rank are you in, and have you got it? Do you want us to play together?" Xiao Mianmian looked away from the mobile phone screen, raised her head, and was stunned when she saw Zhanbo's handsome and smiling face, and then replied, still in the diamond rank. Do you also play this game? Let's play, why don't you play? This game is so fun. Zhanbo logged into the game with his mobile phone. You diamond, I'm Xinjiao, we can play rank together. How about adding a game friend to play together? Xiao Mian was stunned for a moment and looked at him in surprise. She originally thought that Zhanbo was an arrogant little guy, but she didn't expect that Zhanbo's side in life was completely different from what he showed in front of the screen. Externally, Zhanbo appears to be a somewhat aloof and arrogant young man. At this moment, the Zhanbo that Xiao Mian saw looked more like a big boy next door. After Xiao Mian was stunned for a few seconds, seeing that Zhanbo was still waiting for her reply, she told him the game ID. Soon, Zhanbo added her as a friend. After Xiao Mian passed, Zhanbo invited her to play rank together. Xiao Mian hesitated for a moment, then clicked accept. She felt that since people were so generous, there was no need for her to avoid them too deliberately. Moreover, there was no camera pointed at her at the moment, so Xiao Mian didn't have so many worries. I might be a little bit cheated. Xiao Mian looked at Zhanbo's recent heroes and found that Zhanbo likes to play the jungle position. It's okay, Zhanbo's game is called Your Bow Brother or Your Bow Brother. He chose a jungle hero, and then said to Xiao Mian, I can lead you no matter how you trick me. You choose an assistant to follow me, that's it. Hearing what he said, Xiao Mian thought he was a master, so he chose an auxiliary hero. Half an hour later. After playing 2 games, Xiao Mian realized that Zhanbo was a trap. He chose a jungle hero, but he didn't know how to play it at all. Xiao Mian lost 2 games in a row and almost fell to the platinum rank. When Zhanbo invited her to rank again, she finally rejected him without giving him face. She endured her inner hurt and asked Zhanbo, how did you, Xinjiao, get up there? It's not as good as her playing with a small diamond. Zhanbo had agreed to take his sister to fly, but now he took Xiao Mian and lost 2 games in a row, which was a bit embarrassing. He covered his lips and coughed twice. Ahem, my assistant usually plays more. Me, I just play occasionally. Xiao Mian understands. It turns out that his assistant helped him get this Xinjiao. The 2 games just now were all mistakes. Zhanbo felt that he had lost points in front of the girl, and he was still trying to save his image. He invited Xiao Mian again without giving up. Actually, I am usually very good. I can really do it, take you away. Give me another chance. After a few games, the distance between the 2 became much closer, and the previous feeling of strangeness and unfamiliarity was gone. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1764. Chapter 1764. The big-headed tiger insists on letting me come. Xiao Mian also has a little understanding of Zhanbo's character. When she spoke to Zhanbo, she was very rude and refused in a very disrespectful manner. It's still not possible. I'm afraid that if I give you another chance, I'll kneel down for the 4th time in a while. It took a lot of effort for me to get the diamond. I don't want to kneel all the way to gold. Zhanbo was shocked by her lack of dignity, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Do you have so little confidence in me? Xiao Mian sighed softly, then turned her head, looked at him seriously and said, what do you think? Are you unclear about your results in the 2 games just now? Zhanbo. He thought about his 1-5-9 and 2-10-10 records, as well as his output record of no more than 10% in each game, and suddenly fell silent. His performance in those 2 games was indeed. He wanted to tell Xiao Mian that those 2 games were accidents and that he was targeted. Give him another chance, he will definitely be able to make a comeback. However, Xiao Mian was obviously unwilling to give her this opportunity to prove herself. After failing to lead the girl, he was ridiculed. Zhanbo sighed dejectedly and quit the game. Chiao Mian, is this your first time participating in this kind of program? Zhanbo and Chiao Mian didn't get along for long, only 2 games, but even though it was just over half an hour, he was very impressed with Chiao Mian. Mian's impression is already very good. I think she is a pretty cute girl. It's completely different from the people who criticized her online before, calling her a foxy, clever, and person. Although Zhanbo is young, he actually entered the industry several years earlier than Chiao Mian. He has long developed a pair of sharp eyes, and he can still distinguish the good and bad nature of a person. Chiao Mian's eyes were very clear and clean. These are a pair of eyes that have not been contaminated in any way. A truly scheming and capable person will not have such a pair of clean and clear eyes. And Zhanbo himself is a member of this circle. So it is very clear that many of the things reported by the media are false. There are a lot of unscrupulous media nowadays. In order to attract people's attention and earn more traffic, you can turn black things into white. There are many times when you spread rumors and smear people. It's just that under normal circumstances, things are not too big and artists don't want to argue with them. After all, if you are in this circle, being too fussy will make people think that you are not easy to get along with. If anything happens in the future, the media will be able to deal with you. Well, this is my first time participating. What about you? Chiao Mian felt that Zhanbo was a sunny boy, much like Xiao Chen. I heard that Zhanbo entered the entertainment industry at the age of 14. At that time, I was studying and working at the same time. Although Zhanbo has been in the industry for almost 5 years and can be regarded as Chiao Mian's senior, the current Zhanbo is actually a few months younger than Chiao Mian. This is also my first time to participate. Zhanbo curled his lips. He first looked around and saw that there were no cameras around him or Chiao Mian, then he lowered his voice and whispered, I heard that the guests in this issue will be the show team was very miserable. I didn't want to participate, but Big Head Tiger insisted on letting me come. Big-headed tiger? Chiao Mian was stunned for several seconds before she realized that Zhanbo was talking about his agent. His manager's name is Li Hu, a 180-year-old fat uncle. At this moment, Chiao Mian's mood. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1765. Chapter 1765. Are you so confident about me? So in private, Zhanbo calls his agent this way? Big-headed tiger? However, Chiao Mian thought about Li Hu's appearance again, and then she realized that Li Hu did seem to have a big head. Then she was still curious. Why don't you want to participate in this show? Aren't there many artists vying to participate in this show? Zhanbo curled his lips, and the disgust on his face was not concealed. Who wants to participate in a program that obviously involves hardship? It's just for the sake of exposure, but I don't lack this now. So participating in this program is the icing on the cake for me. Not participating will have little impact. I would rather stay at home for a month than go to a remote place to endure hardship for a month. Chiao Mian opened her eyes wide and was extremely surprised. She looked at Zhanbo in surprise, and asked with surprise and curiosity, Zhanbo, you told me this, aren't you afraid that I will tell others? The two of them have just met. It was just the friendship of playing games together for half an hour, and the friendship of him helping me at the airport. How dare he speak so unscrupulously in front of her? Although it was impossible for her to tell others what he said, she still had to be on guard against others. Zhanbo has been in the industry for several years, so he should be no stranger in this area. Zhanbo smiled as if he didn't care. He looked at Chiao Mian and said with little certainty, because I know you won't do that. Chiao Mian, are you so confident in me? But, we just met. Well, we just met. Then why do you think I won't tell others? Jeanbo smiled again, his tone still so firm. Let me rely on my intuition. Then tell me, if it weren't for exposure and popularity, would you like to participate in such a program? This question left Xiao Mian speechless. Indeed, few artists would voluntarily want to participate in such a program if they did not want to increase their reputation. Who would want to do a program that is so painful? However, Xiao Mian did not miss another piece of information revealed in Zanbo's sentence just now. You just said that we will be punished very miserably this time. Zanbo nodded. How did you know? There is a script. Zanbo glanced at Xiao Mian and asked a little strangely, why, didn't you receive the script? No. Xiao Mian looked confused. Is there any script? She has never participated in such a program before, so she is not clear about the script. However, she has also heard people say that nowadays, variety shows require scripts. Of course there will be a script. Do you think it's really random? Zanbo raised his lips and said, some specific small things are random, but the overall direction is to follow the script. Scripted variety shows it looks better and has more program effect. Is that so? Xiao Mian thought about it again and again. She really didn't receive any script. She immediately sent a WeChat message to Linda, Sister Xie, are there any other scripts for this show? Didn't you send it to me? A minute later, Linda replied, there seems to be a script, I'll go look for it for you. Just wait. Xiao Mian. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1766. Chapter 1766. What the is this, a human being doing things? She seriously doubted how Linda, a top agent who had been in the industry for more than 10 years, got into it. After a while, Linda replied, I just found it, there is a script. I've sent it to your email. After Xiao Mian complained silently about her carelessness, she immediately went to check the mailbox. Soon, she found the email Linda had just sent her. As expected, it was a script prepared by the program team, with dozens of pages. Xiao Mian scanned the 2 pages roughly and knew why the exhibition said that the guests in this issue would be treated badly. Because compared with the hardships experienced by the guests in the previous issues, the life that the guests in this issue will face is obviously several times more difficult than those in the previous issues. After seeing the arrangement of guests going to the construction site to move bricks to make money, even though Xiao Mian was mentally prepared, the corner of her mouth could not help but twitch a few times. What the hell, people do things. Zanbo looked at the expression on her face and knew that she must have seen those very excessive projects. You saw it, right? He sighed, this month has been tough. If Big Head Tiger hadn't signed the contract without consulting me, I really wouldn't have come. Do you think that the planning of this issue is because of a breakup in love, so the resentment after the breakup is transferred to us? Or is it a single guy who can't find a girlfriend, and the resentment in his heart has been accumulated for too long, so he thinks there are so many ways to mess with people? Xiao Mian was silent. Although she also felt that the task arrangement of this period was much more difficult and tiring than the previous periods, she had a take it as it comes mentality and soon calmed down. She felt that the program team definitely didn't do it on purpose. The reason why they have increased the difficulty of many tasks in this issue is probably because the audience is tired of watching those previous projects. So it must be something more ruthless to arouse the audience's interest. Coincidentally, Xiao Mian and the others met in this issue. Forget it, it will take more than 3 hours to get to that broken ravine from here. I'd better take a nap first and recharge my batteries, otherwise I won't be able to withstand their torment by then. After Jean-Bo muttered to Chiao Mian Mian, he actually pulled the hat down on his head, closed his eyes and went to sleep. Chiao Mian Mian played another game by herself, and finally narrowly won. As soon as she finished the game, she saw a few more people getting on the bus. The people who came up this time were both men and women. They are four artists, Renjun, Sumufei, Xiao Xiao, and Songke. Chiao Mian Mian is not familiar with these people. But after they got in the car, he nodded. When Xiao Xiao saw Chiao Mian Mian sitting in the last row, the expression on her face changed, but it quickly returned to its original state. Songke and Xiao Xiao know each other. Although the two are just like plastic flower sisters, they still have a good relationship on the surface. Xiao Xiao had some trouble with Chiao Mian Mian because of the MC endorsement. Songke knew about this matter. At this time, Songke naturally wanted to stand by her plastic flower sister. Seeing that Xiao Xiao ignored Chiao Mian Mian, she also regarded Chiao Mian Mian as nothing and ignored her. But although they ignored Chiao Mian Mian, they were quite concerned about Zanbo, who was sitting in front of Chiao Mian Mian. I heard Songke saying to Xiao Xiao, "Is that Zanbo sitting over there? Xiao Xiao, let's go over and say hello." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1767. Chapter 1767, Zanbo doesn't like her at all. Xiao Xiao nodded. Zanbo debuted earlier than them. Speaking of which, they are considered their seniors. As juniors, they have to take the initiative to say hello. Moreover, among the guests this time, apart from Shenfei, Zanbo is the most popular one. Songke and Xiao Xiao want to have a good relationship with Zanbo. The two of them walk towards Zanbo. Senior ignoring Zanbo's appearance, which looked like he was sleeping, Songke's throat softened a bit, and his voice became a bit more coquettish. He shouted to Zanbo, who had just fallen asleep, "Senior, are you sleeping?" Zanbo sleeps very lightly. It was hard to sleep well in the car. He had just begun to feel sleepy and was about to fall asleep when someone suddenly called out in his ear several times. It woke him up immediately. As soon as his amber eyes opened, he saw a face with exquisite makeup, looking at him with a charming smile. Zanbo looked at Songke's bright smile and wanted to tear the smile off her face. Because he hates being woken up from sleep. Especially when he was about to fall asleep, if anyone woke him up, he would have the intention to kill. Songke was not familiar with him, so how could she know that he was angry when he got up? She saw Zanbo open his eyes and asked in an idiotic manner, "Senior, did I wake you up? Were you sleeping just now, are you on?" Zanbo looked at Songke as if he were looking at an idiot. This was not woken up by her, who else could it be? "Have you got the nerve to ask?" Zanbo was unhappy, but he didn't show it too much. He stopped looking at him like he was looking at an idiot. He stretched out his hand to rub his eyes. Within a few seconds, the expression on his face returned to his normal expression. He scolded Songke as stupid in his heart, but said with a smile on his face, "I didn't fall asleep, you didn't wake me." Zanbo and Songke have appeared on other programs together and have met several times. But the two of them are not familiar with each other. So Zanbo didn't have much impression of Songke. But now, just because Songke woke him up when he was about to fall asleep, Zanbo got angry when he got up, and now he didn't have a good impression of Songke. The first impression between people is very important. Songke, who originally wanted to come here to seek favors, didn't know that she no longer had a good impression here in Zanbo. That's good. I'm afraid it will disturb Senior. It's hot outside. Are you thirsty, Senior? Do you want some water? After she finished speaking, she handed the bottle of mineral water to Zanbo. Songke has a sweet appearance, just like her name, she looks like a lovely person. She has the title of Otaku goddess. The most attractive thing about her is her sweet smile. As Song K spoke, she smiled sweetly at Janbo, showing her signature smile. Although Song K is also a traffic flower, in terms of fame and real traffic, she is still far inferior to Janbo. In addition, Song K is still young and her age is still uncertain. In front of such a senior who is more famous than herself and good-looking, she can't help but hide some thoughts. In the back seat, Chiao Mian looked at her nose with her eyes, and her nose at her lips. As soon as she saw Song K's behavior, she, who is also a woman, knew what little Jeju was in Song K's heart. There is a sense of charm in those eyes. But it was useless for Song K to hide his thoughts, because Janbo didn't like her at all. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1768. Chapter 1768, Not jealous at all, that's a lie. Janbo looked at the mineral water handed to him, lowered his head, and silently took out a bottle of water from his bag. He unscrewed the lid and took 2 sips, as if he was immune to Song K's signature otaku smile. The expression on his face did not change at all, and he said calmly, "Thank you, I brought water." Song K was stunned for a moment. The hand that was still holding the mineral water bottle froze for a moment, and the expression on his face was a bit unsightly. She originally thought that Janbo would accept the bottle of water regardless of whether he was thirsty or not. And ever since Song K was dubbed the otaku goddess, her self-confidence has skyrocketed, and she feels that she is invincible in front of the opposite sex. No one can resist her sweet smile. She once received more than 20 million likes with just a video of her smiling. The men in the comment area said that when she smiled, their souls dropped. Looking at Janbo's expressionless face, Song K felt a little doubtful about life. But then she thought that Janbo always seemed to be so proud and indifferent to everyone, so she felt a little more comfortable. Janbo also had a very indifferent attitude towards Xiao Xiao. So the problem is not hers. Song K had just comforted himself in his mind when he suddenly heard Janbo talking. "Chiao Mian, are you thirsty? Do you want to drink some water? I have another bottle here." "No, I'm not thirsty." "Well, just say something if you are thirsty." Janbo drank some water and after asking Chiao Mian, he lowered the brim of his hat and prepared to catch up on his sleep. But he was afraid that when he was about to fall asleep, some blind fool would come over and wake him up, so he specifically told the photographer, "I didn't sleep enough in the morning, so I need to catch up on it now before the earth falls, don't call me unless the sky is falling." After finishing speaking, Janbo turned around, put the hat on his head, and continued to catch up on his sleep. Song K stood there, still holding the bottle of water in his hand, and his posture seemed a bit stiff. She originally thought that Janbo was the same to everyone. But just now, Janbo actually asked Chiao Mian if he was thirsty and if he wanted to drink water. This means that Zanbo is not as cold and hard to approach as she thought, and the reason why she feels that Zanbo is cold is because Zanbo is only cold in front of her. Thinking of this, Song K's face became gloomier again. She looked at Chiao Mian's exquisite and perfect face with almost no flaws, and said it would be a lie to say that she was not jealous at all. No matter how unhappy she felt, she had to admit that Chiao Mian's face was indeed pretty. It's the kind of good-looking girl who can't bear to look away after seeing it. And what makes Song K even more jealous is that even if he looks good like this, he is still without makeup, instead of plastic surgery. There are very few artists in the circle, regardless of gender, who have not had their faces knifed. Just because everyone has had surgery, if someone has had surgery, they can be seen at a glance. And no matter how beautiful it is still a little unnatural, and there is still some difference between it and a pure natural beauty. Song K was jealous in his heart, and his words were a bit sour. Haha, some people are really good. No wonder they are called masters of teasing. They really flirt with them wherever they go, and they have no time at all. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1769. Chapter 1769. Don't dare to offend Xiao Mian openly. Xiao Xiao and Xiao Mian also had a feud, but the difference between her and Song Ke was that she knew very well who the backer of Xiao Mian was. So even though she was actually very unhappy with Xiao Mian, she didn't make a sarcastic comment in front of Xiao Mian like Song Ke did. It's not that she doesn't want to, but she didn't dare to offend Xiao Mian openly. Last time, she had been severely warned. Furthermore, during that time, she was shunned by the company and would not accept any work for her. The company also warned her not to provoke Xiao Mian again, otherwise, she would be in hiding for more than a few months. But eternal snow. This is undoubtedly a fatal blow to artists. Xiao Xiao didn't dare to take any more risks. However, just because she didn't dare to take risks or openly treat Xiao Mian, it didn't mean that she wasn't willing to watch others tear this scheming apart. She wished that others would tear this little apart. Xiao Xiao saw the jealousy and anger in Song Ke's eyes, and was very satisfied that Xiao Mian made people miss him and hate him when they first met. Haha, little bitch, keep doing it. It would be best if more and more people hate her. When the time comes, someone will take care of this little without her having to do anything. Thinking about this, Xiao Xiao felt particularly happy. For a little like Xiao Mian, only some male artists will be confused by her appearance and have a crush on her. As for any female artist, who would like her? This kind of woman who likes to be in the limelight in front of the opposite is the most disliked by the same sex. Xiao Xiao can even predict what Xiao Mian will be like in the next few days. She will definitely be squeezed out and isolated by several other female artists. No one will like her. She felt so happy thinking about this little being ostracized and isolated. She couldn't wait to see this scene. Song Ke turned her eyes away from Xiao Xiao bitterly. She pulled Xiao Xiao and without lowering her volume, she said sarcastically in a voice that could be heard by everyone in the car, "Xiao Xiao, have you smelled a strong smell here? People." Xiao Xiao knew that there was definitely nothing good to say in her mouth, so she pretended to be confused, tilted her head and asked cooperatively, "What does it smell like?" "Don't you smell it?" Song Ke said, covering his mouth and nose with his sleeve, with a look of disgust on his face. "It just smells like a fox." Who she was talking about, everyone who had the eyes to see the look she gave Xiao Mian just now knew clearly. Several photographers and crew members in the car couldn't help but frowned, feeling that Song Ke's words and actions were a bit excessive. At the same time, I also feel that this female artist named Song Ke is a bit big-breasted and brainless. This is filming a program. Whether she is really dissatisfied with Xiao Mian or for other reasons, it is indeed very brainless to behave like this when she is on the show. But all the artists who appear on this show will try their best to show their best side. Earn the goodwill of the audience in this way. The reason why many big names are vying to be on their program is that it has good ratings, which can increase popularity and make popular people even more popular. On the other hand, it can also have a whitening effect. Some artists who had tainted material in the past were able to successfully clear themselves through this program. While other artists want to be popular and whitewash, this Song Ke can do this. Do you want to dye yourself black? Fortunately, at this time, the photographer felt that there was nothing to take pictures, so he temporarily turned off the camera. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1770. Chapter 1770. If you want to talk, Please move to another place. Otherwise, it would be wonderful if this section were played. Song K was actually not as big-breasted and brainless as the photographer thought. She just saw that the camera was not turned on, so she acted so unscrupulously. Of course, she is not a very smart person. If she was smart, she would have known that a newcomer like Xiao Mian could be on this show, and the backstage background was not necessarily something she could offend. Have you? Xiao didn't dare to offend Xiao Mian openly, so she couldn't agree directly. She moved the tip of her nose and pretended to smell it. After a few seconds, she said with a smile, I've been a little nervous these days. I have a cold, my nose is not very good, I can't smell it. Fortunately, you have a cold and your nose is not working. Song K didn't know that Xiao didn't dare to offend Xiao Mian, so she said this. She continued to mock, the smell is quite pungent, so it's better not to smell it. Xiao Mian listened to the two people's sarcastic remarks for a while. Just as she was about to retaliate, she saw Zhanbo, who had just claimed to be sleeping, twitching the hat covering his face and opening his eyes. Then he said in a somewhat impatient voice, if you want to talk, please change a place and don't talk next to me. I'm really sleepy and want to catch up on my sleep. Can you let me sleep for a while? His tone sounded quite polite. But the impatient tone and the obviously angry expression on his face showed that he was not in a good mood now. Song K had already been rejected by Zhanbo without giving face to him when he was trying to be courteous just now. She already felt ashamed. At this moment, when she saw the expression of disgust and impatience on Zhanbo's face, her expression froze, and she felt that she had suffered a huge blow. Having the title of Otaku Goddess, this is the first time she has been disliked by the opposite like this. Or a male artist she wants to hook up with. Of course, whether she was angry, she never blamed Zhanbo in her heart. She attributed all her faults to Xiao Mian alone. If Xiao Mian, a vixen, hadn't seduced Zhanbo, how could Zhanbo treat her like this? Her jealousy towards Xiao Mian couldn't help but grow a little more. Xiao and Song K were choked by Zhanbo, and the expressions on their faces were a little embarrassed. Of course, they were embarrassed to stand next to Zhanbo anymore. I'm sorry, senior, we disturbed your sleep. Xiao apologized to Zhanbo with an apologetic face. Zhanbo waved his hand, you guys talk about your issues, just don't talk in my ears. After saying this, he put the black hat on his face again. Song K's face turned blue and white, and Xiao pulled him to sit aside. After she and Xiao sat down, she couldn't help but gnashed her teeth and whispered, Xiao, did you see that Zhanbo is helping her, right? She is really amazing. She just came to participate in the show and she has become a fan of Zhanbo. It's like this. Song K said this, but in his heart he thought that the woman who could fascinate Zhanbo should be herself. Rather than Xiao Mian, that scheming bitch. Yes, Xiao sighed and lowered her voice and said, when MC and I agreed on the endorsement, she was able to it away from me. Isn't it awesome? That endorsement of yours, Song K knew about this. She immediately sneered and said with contempt in her eyes, who doesn't know that she got that endorsement by hooking up with the crown prince of the Gong family? End of this chapter.